What is up everyone, welcome back to the Commander's Lair. It is of course Joey here. Today's deck tech will be Animar, Soul of Elements, which is Teamer, so a blue, a green, and a red, so 3 mana total for a 1/1 elemental with protection from white and black. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on it, and creature spells you control, creature spells you cast cost 1 less for each 1/1 counter on Animar. So if Animar has 3 1 counters on it, it's going to reduce the cost of all our creatures by 3. If you have 10, it's going to reduce the cost by 10, so we're going to be aiming to play a bunch of creatures, put a lot of 1/1 counters on it, which is definitely easy to do given the fact that we have 54 creatures in this deck. Sorry, 55 creatures, I believe. So it's going to be really easy to trigger that. And just before we get right into it, I'm just going to, make sure to remind you guys that if you enjoy the videos, make sure to like it, subscribe if you want to see more, comment any deck techs you'd like to see in the future, or your thoughts on this deck tech. And I'll just like to make note that this deck is a $70 deck tech at the time of recording. Given his intensive casting cost, it's likely that we're going to be getting Animar out on turn 3 and no earlier, which is unfortunate, but turn 3 is still quite early to get set up. So instead we're going to be focusing on getting lots of mana once he's out, as opposed to getting him out early. So playing lots of really cheap mana dorks, so cards like Arbor Elf, or Llanowar Elves, or any of the other kind of 1 mana mana dorks are really great. Some of even the 2 mana mana dorks like Ornithopter of Paradise to, just to give us that mana fixing as well, if we do find ourselves unable to cast Animar. And basically we're just going to get heaps of mana, and the good thing about this is that after Animar is out, these things are still really useful because we're going to cast them, they're going to be able to tap for mana, and they're going to put a 1/1 counter on Animar, so they're kind of reducing the cost of something by 2, one spell by 2 and the rest of the spells by 1, which is really useful. So like pretty much any creature in this deck, no matter what they do, is never a dead draw. And then we're going to be getting value off all these, amounts of creatures we're playing. Obviously, there's a lot of creatures in this deck. So Beast Whisperer is a really good one. It's 2 green for a 2/3 Elf Druid. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, which can be really nice. And again, it's another creature that will get us that trigger. To, keep getting us up and up at the deck. And Muldrifter is 4 and a blue for a 2/2 with flying. When it ETBs, you draw 2 cards, and what we're looking for in cards is a high colorless cost. So that's 4 mana, it's 5 mana total, but 4 of it is colorless, so we can reduce this to 1 mana quite easily. So it's going to be 1 mana draw 2 in a lot of instances, which is useful. And then once we've hit that mana threshold, we can start casting higher and higher spells. So Hydrokisis is X and green and blue for 0/0. Whenever you cast this spell, you gain half X life and you draw half X cards and round down each time. It's flying and trample and enters with X/1/1 counters on it. So this is going to be a big beater. Hopefully, let's say Animar had 8 counters on it, this would be a free 6/6. And say, it would be 8/8 for 2 mana, basically. Or, but say we wanted to pump more into it, we could put our own mana into it, so we can put, 8 of our own mana into it, and 8 of that, so it'll be a 14/14. We'll draw, 7 cards, we'll gain 7 life. It's just an incredible card, and incredible value through that. Primordial Sage, the same as Beast Whisperer, it's 4 green, 4/5. Spirit, whenever you cast a creature spell, you may draw a card. So we're just going to keep drawing heaps and heaps of cards off that, because we're playing so many creature spells. And Return of the Wild Speaker is 4 and a green for an instant. Choose one, draw cards equal to the highest power among non-human creatures you control, and non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. So either this will trigger from the massive creatures we're playing, or Animar getting so big from all the creatures that we do play, this will really easily draw us 10+ cards for really cheap. So with all these mana dorks out that we're going to draw into, with all this card draw, and Animar's going to be massive, it's likely that we're going to be able to, reduce the cost of our spells from up to 8-ish mana is really achievable with Animar. If any of you guys have ever seen an Animar deck, this is really easy to do. So cards like Archetype of Imagination is 4 blue for a 3/2 human wizard. Creatures you control are flying, and creatures your opponent control lose flying, can't have or gain flying. So basically this is going to be really useful, a big mana spell that's going to basically cost really cheap, and it's going to give us a way to win quite easily. Artisan of Kozilek is 9 generic for a 10/9 Eldrazi. When you cast a spell, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it has Annihilator 2. So we're going to get 2 creatures out of this, potentially could literally be free for a 10/9. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's pretty clear here. We're going to be basically getting heaps of mana to free cast all the really good spells in our deck, which we're going to get very easily with Animar, because he's just so powerful. As long as we can protect him, keep him online for a little bit, which, he's hard to remove with all these removal spells, but we are going to get heaps of mana really quickly. So Ruric Thar the Unbowed is 4, and then Gruul for a 6, which is Vigilance for each. It attacks each turn, each combat if able, and whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Ruric Thar deals 6 damage to that player. So we're playing like 5 non-creature spells, I think. So realistically, we could just avoid it and not cast them if we need to, because we're never going to have that many in our hand. Giant Adderphage is 5 green for a 7/7 insect with trample. Whenever Giant Adderphage deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Adderphage. So it really doesn't matter the strategy here. As you can see, there's a bit of burn with Rurik Thar. There's some, kind of unblockable kind of shenanigans with the Archetype of Imagination. There's some just massive, trample over hits that we're doing with Giant Adderphage. But realistically, all that matters is that we're going to be basically getting heaps of mana and reducing the cost of all these really cool big creatures, and we're going to be doing whatever we can to win with them, just casting out the big things and seeing what happens. And then obviously Animar has a very unique ability, so there are a couple of ways that we could abuse that. So Ancestral Statue is 4 generic for a 3/4 golem. When Ancestral Statue ETBs, return an online permanent you control to its owner's hand. So let's say we flickered that, or not flickered, so bounced that Artisan of Kozilek, right? We can hardcast it again, and potentially it'll be free. So potentially this whole arrangement will be free, right? We cast Artisan of Kozilek, get something from our graveyard, bring it back, bounce it with Ancestral Statue, get the Artisan of Kozilek back to our hand, and cast it again. So this will put 3 more 1/1 counters on, also 5 more, because 3 more because it's cast trigger, 3 more counters on Animar. And then it'll reduce the cost even more if it wasn't already free to do this anyway. And we'll get 2 creatures from our graveyard for free. We'll get a 10/9, and we will get a 3/4 as well, all for free. Aspect of the Mongoose is 1 green for enchantment or enchant creature. Enchant creature can't be the target of spells or abilities. When Aspect of Mongoose is put into a graveyard from play, return Aspect of Mongoose to its owner's hand. So realistically, what this is doing is just protecting Animar, making it even harder for him to die, because obviously once he's on the board and running, we almost can't lose. Forgotten Ancient is 3 green for an 0/3 elemental. When a player casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may remove any number of 1/1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto another creatures. So let's say around the turn cycle, our opponents cast 5 spells in total, right? And then at the beginning of our upkeep, we can move all those 5 1/1 counters onto Animar, and then everything's going to be reduce the cost by 5. So this is a really, really easy way to get stupid amounts of counters on Animar quite easily. Gaia's Herald is 1 green for a 1/1. Creature spells can't be countered. Nothing to do with particular synergies, but it makes Animar harder to kill. All of these massive creatures harder to kill. It's just going to protect our board nicely because we are casting so many creatures. And Peregrine Drake is 4 blue for a 2/3 with flying. When it ETBs, untap up to 5 lands. So let's say this at best case scenario, which isn't even very hard to achieve. Animar has 4 1/1 counters on him. This is going to be 1 blue mana, and it's going to add 5 mana or 4 mana to our mana pool. So this will be a ritual, so it'll be dark ritual plus 1 mana. We can pick which lands we untap as well, so it's going to be a very, very powerful spell there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to let me know if you want me to build a certain deck for you. I'll be happy to let that go. I think my last video should have been a deck tech for someone else, and I've already done 2 others in the past. But 3 others in the past, I believe, as well. Make sure to like if you did enjoy the video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys all next time.